Mahalo, Keakua, Mahalo Yeshua, mahalo for bringing everybody here tonight for the Circle of Sovereigns meeting. Lord, may your law,
Volume.
common law be present here and fill our hearts and help us to understand your form of government and how we can retain our natural rights in this horribly corrupt system that oppresses us on a constant basis. And even as a reminder from last night, with him getting arrested. So, Father, please help us to see how we can see through this system and restore to what is Pono and teach others to do the same and spread awareness. Mahalo for everyone who can make it tonight, and pray that we all become a lamp and a light to help wake up other people who are on this pursuit. Mahalo in Yahweh Pua's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, welcome everybody. Nice intimate circle. I'm Gene Tamashiro. Me and Greg flew in from Hawaii Island, and we're so grateful for everyone who's been hosting, Kellen and Ken and Officer Akina here, and meeting new friends that I feel so closely connected to from the heart and spirit, and also our values that we share. So thank you for coming. We do have a natural law jural assembly called the Circle of Sovereigns, established August 3rd, 2017 on Hawaii Island. We've served notice and we stay connected. We meet, some of us meet weekly, and others we would see maybe once a month. What is a Circle of Sovereigns? Who are we? Who are the people? Where are we? And what law do we live by? So, for those of us that have reflected on this, we realize in our studies and in our direct connection to the source, to the Creator, that we are children of Keakua, and we have unalienable rights, God-given rights. This is not privileges that other people or other entities provide or give us permission to have. These are unalienable rights. Where are we? We are in the Hawaiian Kingdom, and that is Keakua's kingdom here on earth. Hawaiian Kingdom was founded officially in the Declaration of Rights, 1839. And the Declaration of Rights codifies our connection to the Creator. It makes it very clear that no man is above the law. Although ali'i, and we have ali'i nui and ali'i in our midst, in our friendships, that do the genealogies and have an important kuleana to carry on their family legacy. But Kauikeaoli made it very clear that the chiefs and the people are equally held accountable and equally protected under God's law. And so we know when Kauikeaoli said in the first line, Keakua, God hath made of one blood all nations of men, people, to dwell on earth in unity and blessedness. And it's interesting to know and significant that he says to dwell on earth, not just in Hawaii. So he's talking about universal law. He's talking about God's law as it would carry out, and there is truly only one law in all of creation. We're going to move pretty quickly because I know this circle of people very akamai about history, about law, about culture, and your own personal kuleana and commitment to follow what is pono, as the Creator calls you in your own life. So, once again, Hawaiian Kingdom is a natural law constitutional monarchy where all people are held equally, accountable, and protected equally under the law. All people have different kuleana. Some people serve in the vein of the ali'i. Some people serve by growing food. Some people serve by teaching, by healing, by being artists. We all have an important part to play in our lahui, in our nation. So the Hawaiian Kingdom nation continues, and Poka made a very good clarification for me last night, and in that our nation continues even though our state, the government services and the recognition of our government services in the family of nations, the state of our Hawaiian Kingdom state, that we have to restart, re-empower. And we're doing that right now by establishing, because we have the unalienable right and responsibility to establish jural assemblies operating in Keakua's law. I want to get that. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we have such a small circle here. I want to move quickly, and if anyone has a question, as I say, or something to add, or even correct, please stop me and let's do that, because we only have a couple hours here, and it's very important that the circle of sovereigns of this island, the Natural Law Jural Assembly of Oahu, it gets started and it's solid. Oh, boy, everyone's calling at the same time. Okay. A Natural Law Jural Assembly is like a grand jury. It's like the fourth branch of government. There's no authority from the executive or the legislative or the representative branch. Yeah? There's no authority higher. A grand jury can examine laws and with complete openness, transparency, and accountability could even nullify a law. Okay? If a law appears to be trespassing on the unalienable rights of others, that's a red flag. Because when you trespass on the unalienable right of another, that's harm. Now, people ask me, what is harm? Harm, from a legal standpoint, is when someone feels that they are the aggrieved, and they take that being aggrieved and harmed very seriously, so that you would put it in writing and create a verified claim that harm has been done by such and such individual. A verified claim. You don't just complain, you don't just talk about it, you write down what harm has been done, you sign it, you present it, and you stand in honor. Okay, so there is a process by which controversies can be healed, can be solved. What are the three principles of natural law justice, which is the same thing as natural law adjudication? Hello? No problem. Aloha. A natural law jural assembly adjudicates on three principles, and really three principles only. These are godly principles, and our 5-year-olds, our 5th graders, our young ones know this. The education system has done a very good job separating people from God's law. But we're going to reestablish that. Hawaiian Kingdom, once again, is God's kingdom here on earth. What are the three principles of natural law justice? Very simple. What is the truth? Was any harm done? And what is the status of agreements or treaties, if any? Those three principles are the only three principles that a natural law jural assembly would focus in figuring out, in adjudicating, as they discover conclusions in the law. Okay? There is a process to discover conclusions in the law throughout any controversy. I myself am not one to be so involved in the administration of punishment. In my view, we have kupuna councils, we have people that lead in spiritual capacities to facilitate restorative justice. I know Hawaiian Kingdom has a penal code, and we have to look at all laws. You know, 1839 is the Declaration of Rights when we were founded, and then 1840 already begins the compilation of laws in the kingdom. A lot of people say, well, what year do we start the law? Well, everybody knows we don't want to do the Bayonet Constitution 1887 law. But any law that we would, as a people, decide that's going to be applied in 2018 and beyond needs to be looked at through the lens of natural law justice, of God's law. Are these laws trespassing on any rights, any unalienable rights of any of our people? Are they doing harm? Is it based on the truth? And what is the status of agreements before we start to enact and enforce laws? Okay, do we have any questions or comments?
This is a great job.
Oh, thank you. A little nervous. This is probably, at least for me, the most important decision I've ever made. It's affected my family, as I'm sure some of you, because of your decision to follow the truth, to follow God's law and stand in honor.
It comes at a great price.
It does. And our families, all of our families, have been impacted by the coercion and forceful imposition of color of law by the United States corporation. And indeed, the United States is a corporation. Officially, it became a corporation officially in 1871 with the creation of the District of Columbia. Many people would argue, and perhaps intelligently so, that the United States or the American experiment crashed even prior to the Civil War, because there was influence of politics and money that tore the nation apart. And that's really why the Civil War was fought. It really wasn't fought for the rights of people of dark skin. It's always been Babylon and God's law versus God's law.
Money.
Money and politics. Corporate law is a function, or Babylon, Roman civil law, maritime, corporate law, okay? God forbid martial law. These are byproducts of politics and money. In God's law, politics and money have nothing to do with truth and justice. In God's law, it's truth. What's the truth? And then you apply the law of love, so we can have restorative healing and we can untangle the heva. I would like to offer up, for those of you that are here, if you have any questions about a natural law jural assembly, how and why we might, do this, because people have asked me, what authority do you have to create a jural assembly? And the simple answer is, I'm actually obligated, because of my unalienable right. I have a sacred responsibility, and we all do, to walk in honor, to stand up for what is true and what is pono. And the way we do it peacefully is we call it a circle of sovereigns. You could also call it a natural law jural assembly. This is not the Hawaiian Kingdom government, but this is judicial notice upon the world that Hawaiians with unalienable rights stand in honor and stand together to serve judicial notice upon the world, upon each other, upon our lahui, and upon the world. Now, we're not perfect, but we've examined all the evidence to come to conclusions in law with any controversy. We have to be careful, because there's a lot of controversy. Which is the one we're going to address? We have friends, including myself, like even last night, maybe yourself, that right now the state of Hawaii is dragging you in. You've done no harm, but they say, well, you got to do this. Where's your registration? Where's your license? Where's your safety check? Where's your tax money? All of these.
Where's your money?
Where's your money?
Always, where's your money?
Okay, so we have to recognize that all people have the unalienable right to make a claim. So if agents and employees of the State of Hawaii Corporation, and it is a corporation, they do have a Dun & Bradstreet number. I don't have it memorized yet, but they talked about it last night at the meeting, about all the different departments having corporate identities and actually having Dun & Bradstreet numbers. They're doing business, right? There is no authority in the organic Constitution of 1789 if we're talking about America. And since America is here, that does play out. America has no lawful jurisdiction in Hawaii. But we are, after 125 years of occupation, we have to deal with that part of the reality. Even though the state of Hawaii has not proven jurisdiction. They can't. And the simple answer to that is there is no lawful treaty of annexation. So it is a military occupation, no more, no less. How do we handle that is to be seen, but I do know if we humble ourselves to Keakua's law, that we will be guided, just like we were guided here tonight. That we will be guided, and people with knowledge and experience and wisdom and love and strength in fearless love, and we can come up with a way and a plan that will protect us in our unalienable right to restore Hawaiian Kingdom as it is God's kingdom here on earth. And I believe God was not joking when he said, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." This is our destiny. We can do this. We are the Aloha Nation and we can do this. Some of us have been serving notice, written notice, doing presentments to the judges, to the police, to politicians, and those notices have amplified recently. Yeah, with what Jen Ruggles has done. I'm not going to actually pull it out and read it, but we have here, just as reminders, you guys know about this, the UN memorandum that Dr. Desaias set upon the world. A war crimes notice that Jen Ruggles sent unto all the judges in Hawaii. These people have been served notice time and time again. The Hawaiian Kingdom lawsuit against President Trump that Keanu Sai did. America, there's information here, actually I just have my own singular copy. America, there is a history of how, without any constitutional authority for any Congress, to create a federal corporation out of a people's government. And they did. If you go to United States Code, Article 28, Section 3002, line 15. That was the question they asked Mahialani last night. They tell you, right now, if you Google it, yeah, Article 28, Section 3002, line 15, United States equals federal corporation. What is a corporation? I'll get right to you. What is a corporation? A corporation is a legal entity. Somebody named it. Somebody created it. Somebody owns it. Now, I've been told that America or the United States Corporation went into bankruptcy, I heard 4 times. I know for sure about the 1933, when FDR confiscated people's gold, when they created the Social Security Administration, so that all babies born in America and her occupied territories like us are presumed to be property of that corporation. So when I face the judge, when I address the court, I say first thing, and I put it in writing, before I go to court, and I have to go under special appearance. I don't cross the bar. I'm on this side. I say I'm here under coercion and duress. But I am a sovereign Hawaiian national. Nobody has ever put in writing that I'm not who I say I am. It goes in one ear and out the other. I'm a sovereign Hawaiian national. I'm lawful in my own country, and I'm the guardian and beneficiary of my own legal person corporation. Some people call that the straw man. Your corporate identity, your all caps. Now, nobody's admitting that's true, but they sure treat you like they own you. So if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It is a corporation, and they do presume to own you unless you clarify your status. So as a jural assembly, what we do to clarify status, we have a form, and you guys can look at it. You pledge unto Keakua's law, Hawaiian Kingdom Declaration of Rights, 1839. Now I know there's a number of different Hawaiian Kingdom groups, but to my knowledge, and thankfully, because of what Kauikeaoli did and the Queen did, God's law is codified into Hawaiian Kingdom. Natural law justice is our birthright. We have a process to hold everybody accountable, whether you're Makai Nana or you Ali'i. You're all important to the nation. You all have unalienable rights to due process, substantive due process, not just procedural. You have a right to substantive due process and full disclosure. Those are unalienable rights. We have to stand up and protect each other's unalienable rights. That is the purpose of good government. The purpose of good government is to protect each other's unalienable rights. So you do a pledge. We have our own version of the pledge. Other people might have their own, but we have one that's very useful. We have our own identification. So when the police stop us, if they stop us or anyone has a question, you pull out your Hawaiian Kingdom ID. Our Kingdom ID is unique. There is no expiration date, and it clarifies who you are, where you are, and what law you live by. Okay? A lot of IDs, especially the state IDs, it clarifies that you're property of the corporation. And that's not what you want to be. You want to walk this earth, live lawfully, and live with aloha. Okay? So what we wanted to do, I think this is okay. This is something else that's very important, because there are those of you and some of you that are here that have connection, genealogy, and bloodline to the Ali'is. I have great respect for that. That's not something that we take lightly. And we have friends and family that have done research over years that show they have allodial title. For example, we saw Amelia Gora today. And Amelia has done a lot of work, and on her own, she's held people from the state corporation and from Bishop Estate, Kamehameha School, held them accountable to the fact that they cannot prove they have allodial land title to lands that they say they own. Now, we have to also respect people who work for Bishop Estate, who work for the state of Hawaii or the federal government corporations. We respect them in their claim. But the Jural Assembly, our lahui, we have to hold all people accountable. You're going to make a claim, that's great. You've got to bring facts and evidence that your claim is true. We protect your right to make a claim, but we also require facts and evidence to substantiate the claim. And that's how we have a lawful society. Okay. Amelia, just today, served notice again to agents of the state and agents of Bishop Estate. Now she's standing in ours, says, we did the research, we got the pala pala, we have a allodial title, not you guys. So she's claiming, now I haven't done the research, she did. I'm going to respect her claim, but I'm going to hold her accountable like everybody else. I got to hold myself accountable. We all have to hold each other accountable to claims that we might make. Okay? She's saying 1,570.3 acres in lands, Kapalama Ili, she calls it. That Bishop Estate is saying that they own these lands, and she's saying, no. Where's your proof? Here's our proof. So I'm so glad and grateful that some of our people that have the Ali'i connection, they step forward and they say, we have allodial title. Now, does allodial title completely wipe out everybody else who has defective title after the fact? No, it doesn't. And the reason is, yes, you have allodial title, and that's very, very important. However, those that might have been on the land for the last 50 years, 20 years, even 5 years, that have invested substantially with money, with time, they have standing also. So we have to figure out, how do we untangle this? Just because you have allodial title and someone else don't, but they might have been there for their family for 50 years. How do we take these facts of evidence and with aloha and wisdom create an agreement, a new agreement, so that people who might have been here a long time, if they have a land out, but if they've been malama aina and malama pono, we should love each other. We should respect each other and see how we can work this out. But in truth, the title is the allodial title. Okay. Anyone have a thought or a question about the circle of sovereigns? Like I said, we have one on Big Island. We need to create the foundation of a circle of sovereigns, a natural law jural assembly emanating out of kingdom. Yeah. Foundation of which being Declaration of Rights, 1839. Anyone have a question of how we apply that? No? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a comment, Gene, because you had brought up
Yes.
about Councilwoman Jen Ruggles.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had indicated that she had sent her letter regarding whether she is at risk of criminal liability for war crimes
Yes.
under the Hague and Geneva Conventions. She had sent that letter to all of the judges, First, Second, Third, Fifth Circuit.
Okay.
Okay. In addition to that, she also sent that letter to Queen's Hospital.
Yes.
And under Alexander Liholiho and Queen Emma was the original universal health care,
Yes.
where all Native Hawaiians are entitled to free health care. So with this letter, she is showing to the board of directors that they need to adhere to the original charter. Okay, there's that.
Yeah.
In addition to that, she has also written to the Federal Bureau of Investigation,
FBI.
the FBI, whether or not they're going to intervene, we don't know, but it's a start to investigate this illegal occupation that's going on.
Okay.
So I just wanted to expand on that.
Thank you.
Because she is moving forward, and to my understanding, she will be here talking about illegal occupation and war crimes, I believe next month or December. Kelly would
It's not confirmed yet, but we're gonna try and get her to come to.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
Just wanted to expand since you brought it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Now,
Hey,
the
Steph.
forming of this
Jural assembly.
jural assembly, it's not a grand jury, it's
It has the effect of a grand jury, yes.
so that's.
It's the highest judicial body in the land.
And it's formed in what manner is legitimacy and how are the participants selected?
Okay. You have unalienable rights. You have the opportunity to protect those unalienable rights and to exercise them. I feel that legitimacy is guaranteed and confirmed when everything you do, cameras are rolling, is fully transparent and fully accountable. So in any controversy, people bring forward claims and counterclaims. We peacefully say, okay, we have a controversy. We want to examine facts and evidence, and that process, once again, is not done in secret. No closed doors. No. We examine the facts and evidence as God would see. If God sees everything, why not? So we have nothing to hide. Sometimes the truth is inconvenient. However, the truth is of God, and so we should never be afraid of it. We should pursue it, stand by it, protect it. And so in that light, I think it's very important that you exercise your unalienable right. If the people do not become educated and apply their unalienable right to due process, substantive due process and full disclosure in adjudicating controversies, then someone else is going to do it for you. And if you feel like you've been harmed in any way, you have the right to create a verified claim that that man or that woman harmed me, here's why. You write it down. You sign it. Now, Hawaiian style, you don't have to create a verified claim the moment somebody upsets you. You go face to face. Hey, bro, I'm sorry, I don't understand what's going on in this situation. Can we work this out? Now, oftentimes, a serious controversy, the guys might say, oh, bro, I don't like to talk to you, go talk to my lawyer. Right? Well, I don't want to talk to you. He rejects that. Another opportunity you have is you can You can say, well, let's find a mediator that we both can agree on. Somebody that you agree would be fair, and I agree would be, fair and impartial. A mediator. If that other party who you feel harmed, you go, oh no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to any mediator. Talk to my lawyer. I just avoid you. Completely avoids you. This happens a lot. People got politics and money. They just ignore you. And they continue to do harm. This is what's happening now. Mitch Roth, the prosecuting attorney on Hawaii Island, he said, assuming what you guys are saying is true, and he knows it's true, he knows Hawaiian Kingdom never ended, assuming it's true, who do I call, Gene, if harm is done, if someone gets murdered, if there's a controversy? You guys need to organize yourself, and we do. So right now, I'm not pretending that we can provide all the government services that the Hawaiian Kingdom has every right to provide its people. This is an important first step, that the people gather together in full accountability and transparency, adjudicate controversy. The biggest controversy is the state of Hawaii lawful in Hawaii? Are people doing harm? Is Governor Ige, the Attorney General, perhaps President Trump, are these people doing harm because they've been served notice time and time again and they never respond? They don't stand in honor and go, well, here's the facts. Here's why we have jurisdiction. The gig is up.
Bad faith.
Bad faith, you're in dishonor. And after a while, dishonor becomes default.
Okay.
So the default is well established already. It's confirmed.
We went around circuitously, but poignantly, what's the historical means by which this sort of thing is formed and respect for it being formed in that manner so that it's understood that you either follow the laws of the kingdom or you follow universal international law to form this jury?
The laws of the kingdom is codified.
Repeat the question.
Oh,
Open the camera.
okay. If I understand your question correctly, you're saying how is it that a jural assembly can be considered a lawful body? Is that
How it's formed and
how it's
why
formed?
the nature of it's formed is considered a lawful body historically.
Well, historically, I would say you could go back to the Magna Carta, where the beginnings of common law, universal law, natural law were discovered and applied. So what does that mean? We have unalienable rights. We're all children of Keakoa, and we have God-given unalienable rights. As long as I don't do harm, as long as I'm truthful, and as long as I honor my word, I can live my life any way I choose. I follow my bliss any way I want. Okay? As long as I do no harm. Now, if somebody says, you dressing like that, or you talking like that, or you whatever, is harmful to me, hey, you have a right to claim harm.
Let me clarify my question.
Yes, sir.
What is the mechanics by which you form this?
The mechanics?
I think what he's trying to say is
Yes, ma'am.
how you get, your own jural assembly.
Yeah.
How do the jural get selected and stuff like that? Like
Okay.
who picks the jury and stuff
Okay.
like that?
We don't pick it. You decide to serve.
Gene, he said it already, and I mean, it's in this common law handbook. It says it is the duty of the people to govern themselves and to secure their government by participating as a jurist. So he said that everyone has a duty to do this. Now, whether you step forward to do that is another story, but it is our duty to.
Okay, so it's self-formed. Self-formed.
Yeah.
Based on your sense of moral turpitude.
Yeah, your moral responsibility. Exactly.
So what, is there like a general size, 12, 24?
Well, a jural assembly moves and operates the way it chooses, but traditionally you have a petite jury of 12, or you have a grand jury of 25. But it could be any number of people. Where two or more gather in His name, there I am. Yeah. So, you know, it's really, we're operating in so many ways out of necessity. And we have to come forward as a public body, yeah. Yes?
Thanks, Gene. I have a question about like the more practical aspect of the drill assembly. You know, for example, like co-facilitator last night, Ken, got arrested after a meeting
Perfect example.
for not having a sticker on his car, you know? So it's like, how do we intervene and help people, you know, not have to deal with this oppressive government that's going to punish us, put us in cages and fine us for not paying them to put stickers on our car, you know?
There is a practical side to us coming together and us clarifying the truth and the law. Okay? If we do this alone, it's real hard. I've done it alone, and some of us have done it alone for a long time, and it's hard. I've spent time in the box because they would not give me substantive due process, and I require due process. And this is a great opportunity because the judges, the police, the politicians, many people in positions of power in the corporation know Hawaii's true political status. So in so many ways, because they're contracted with the corporation, in their mind, they can't speak truthfully. They're actually paid to perpetuate the lie. But we're not contracted with them. And if I am contracted with them, then you guys show me the contract. You know, if you're going to presume that I'm a U.S. citizen because I've made it clear I'm not, then you show me the contract. Otherwise, I am who I say I am. I'm a real man. I'm not a corporate fiction. If you cut me, I bleed. If I say yes, I mean yes. I take full responsibility and liability for everything I do and say. That's how you live lawfully. Very simple. You either porno, living porno to the best of your ability, or you're fudging. And that's when Heva comes in. So how do we protect each other? Now we get into the meat of it. What we can do, and we have people with experience. Now, I want you to chime in on this in a moment. Thank you. We have people in this room. I have experience too. Serving lawful presentments unto the corporation. Okay? But I did it alone. Okay, then after that, okay, now then I got a notary to sign, and then I got a couple of sovereign Hawaiians also to sign when I do my presentment. Okay, but now we have a body of people that confirm the state of Hawaii is not lawful. Ken or anybody else who's not done any harm, there's no crime. Mitch Roth, prosecutor, he calls things crime. It's no crime if I don't follow your corporate regulation. No one showed up and said, Ken, you did harm because you didn't get the sticker. There's no one. So if somebody shows up and says, you harmed me because you didn't get the sticker, well, now they have some kind of standing to talk. But if nobody shows up, no harm, no crime. Now beyond that, it is confirmed that the state of Hawaii is not lawful in Hawaii. I'm going to stand in honor and aloha to defend your right not to get the sticker. They're forcing you to commit more fraud. And we got enough challenges to take care of our keiki, to pay rent, to food, you know, to live, than all this other corporate regulations. So once again, it goes right back to, does the state of Hawaii have lawful jurisdiction in Hawaii? You're making a claim and you're taking action on this claim, but you never provide any facts and evidence that the claim is true. So we have a lawful obligation to point that out and a right to ignore you. Ignore you even. Of course, if we completely ignore you, if you don't show up, they'll look at the docket and go, oh, Ken didn't show up on this date, contempt of court. And then next time they run into you, they look in the computer and they take you away. Okay? So this is the challenge that we have right now, but it's also a tremendous opportunity. It's also a great opportunity because we're not ignorant about the situation. Our people know Hawaii's true political status. Our people know the law. And even these guys working for the state, that's our friends and family. They need us to do this. They need us to operate lawfully. So, specifically with Ken's case, with Kelly's case, I was sitting right next to Kelly. Was he a motorcycle cop? Stop us. Okay, officer, give us your yellow copies. We Hawaiian nationals. Oh, I know you are. We're not signing anything. Oh yeah? No, we're not signing anything. Hawaiian Kingdom will take this from here. You've done your job, thank you very much. He apologized 3 times. Oh, sorry, bro. I know you guys gonna beat this anyway, yeah? I'm just doing my job. And he is. So we have to educate. We educated him with ALOHA, and we will do the presentments. We will clarify your true status. Now the ball is in their court. They have to respond. With ALOHA, we hope. But if not, we hold them accountable. So this is very significant to me that people would gather together.
So,
Poker.
we're still trying to get, in my mind,
Yes, sir.
how this is formed, because 25 people come together,
How
all
is it formed?
agree to serve, and then they review controversies.
Yes, sir.
For them by petition.
By what?
Petition?
Petition. No, there's no petition. What do you mean?
Well, when somebody brings a controversy, it looks like a verified complaint.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Are they preparing an affidavit, Jural?
Correct, yeah. If someone, yeah, a statement of harm or verified claim that harm has occurred, okay, and that could come from anybody. You know, there's a big harm over everybody. Yeah, state of Hawaii's harm upon Hawaiian Kingdom, and that is definitely harm. Or it could be just an individual. And then we will adjudicate, and we will do a presentment unto the community, unto the world, about our findings.
A bit of an aside, what I do is I inform them in advance. And I'm only there to try to kidnap and ransom for profit.
Yes.
And then my fee for appearing under that threat is $10,000 US, pre-1964 silver at face value.
Okay.
If they detain me, it's $50,000 US silver dollars pre-1964 the first day, and it doubles every day until I'm released.
Okay.
And I gave that to Walter Rodney and put him on notice as an officer of the court, so notice to agents, notice to principal. I told the judge that 10 days ago.
Yep.
You're on notice, that's the fee. If you want to combine these 2 events, I'm not agreeing. Say $10,000. Otherwise, they have me coming on 7 days, that's the bill. We send it to their comptroller because people don't understand the courts are for profit operations. They
It is
operate for
corporation.
profit. They
Yes.
convert every single case into a security. All the funds are deposited from the CRIS account every Wednesday, which goes to the U.S. Treasury and is converted into a Treasury bond. And that goes to Puerto Rico, and it ends up in the hands of the creditors of that corporation in bankruptcy, because that's how they control it. They control it by debt, creating debt, operating and manipulating people to buy their debt, and creating the illusion of debt if their bills of attainder with little yellow slips that goes. I always write no contract with void on it.
Okay. Has it been helpful, effective for you?
Well, so far I haven't been convicted of anything because I can't go to trial. They find some excuse to dismiss it
Okay.
after realizing that I don't bludgeon very well. And as much as they want to correct me, they can't correct the lie. But I'm still trying to understand how we form one of these.
Okay.
And it's just,
It's very simple. You basically, you stand in honor on your pledge. This is not a rumor. When I say I'm a Hawaiian national, okay, I have filled out one of these, right? I have clarified my status. to stand and honor God's law through Hawaiian Kingdom Declaration of Rights 1839. Okay? I signed, I have witnesses to clarify that, and now I do my very best to walk in honor in that light. Now that I've clarified my status, I also say, here, this is a real good way to clarify your status. Let me read this. Pledge an oath of allegiance. By the grace of God, Keokua, our eternal witness from the beginning, as Keokua, God is my witness, in my case, I, Gene, of the family Tamashiro, a true flesh and blood living man, do hereby embrace all gifts given by God. Repent all transgressions against God, and waive all claims that are without Keokua God. So that clarifies my status here on earth. And I do that through Declaration of Rights 1839, since I am in the Hawaiian Kingdom. And this nation is been conferred and codified God's law in Hawaiian Kingdom. So we are home, and it's a sacred place, and we can walk in our Aloha truth with no fear. Okay, so that's a sovereign Hawaiian national. When people bring up the whole idea about subject, okay, if you're a Hawaiian Kingdom subject, what does that mean? Because a lot of Americans, even me, I hear the word subject, does that mean I'm subject to somebody else? To some other man? To some woman? No. If you're a sovereign Hawaiian, that means you are subject to what? You're subject to God's law. Wholly subject to God's law makes you wholly sovereign amongst men. It's an interesting dichotomy. As you surrender to the Creator's law and the Creator's wisdom, you become sovereign among men. Real amazing, simple. That's what it means to be a kingdom subject. Subject under the King of Kings.
So what you're saying is those that make that affirmation then become volunteers for service on this committee to try to resolve controversy?
Well, we don't force people to do that, but it's very helpful that we adjudicate together in full transparency and accountability. Yes, it's volunteer work. It don't pay. There are costs, of course. We do have a Circle of Sovereigns website. 1 year's coming up, and then they're going to want another. You know, the internet people are going to want $100 or something like that. My internet person tells me. But we're going to have a website so that the people on this island as well as Hawaii Island have a website where events and communications and solidarity is communicated to the world. Yeah.
So let's take an example. This gentleman gets cited.
He did.
He got arrested.
Yep.
Okay. I was actually forcibly asked to leave the meeting under threat of bringing the police to create the scene.
Okay.
That's why I left early.
Okay.
I disturbed the meeting.
Okay.
And I addressed the matter at a later date. The point I'm trying to make is the effectiveness of this ruling that would come from this body of men and women acting in honor to try to resolve the controversy.
If you could speak a little louder.
I like the idea where you're actually using their laws, putting them back in their face.
Okay.
One of the laws was the admission of the state of California into the Union defined the servitude. Servitude is a navigable waterway. They wanted to get up the Sacramento River to Sutter's Mill and get gold. So they defined the servitude as a common highway forever free of tax, duty, and toll. By defining that in a statute at large, and that statute at large still exists, that means they have no right to charge him a duty, fee, or a toll for traveling on the common highway in his personal business. If he's in commerce, where the highway is a form of income, then it's a different matter.
Yeah, I actually,
Travel, that's freedom of movement.
Greg has done a lot of research about using American law to show that we have a right to travel as long as we're not doing commerce. We have a right to travel. However, we're not in America.
I understand that.
So if I use their law, it's just as a point, an addendum to trespass that they're committing against Hawaiians in their own country.
That's
So,
correct.
it's just an addendum. I don't use their law to find remedy in Hawaiian Kingdom. Just a point.
Sometimes you gotta segue them into an understanding.
Yeah, it's helpful.
They're so.
But you gotta be careful not to jump jurisdiction. You know?
That's true.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Go ahead.
Something I want to add to that, so, I'm on the neighborhood board, which is, is part of the fake state system, trying to blow the whistle here. And we interface with the local politicians, and one of our reps is Andrea Tupola, who's running for governor. And she has been talking about this community court system that she's trying to establish within the state system. And it's a step in the right direction. Instead of having to pay fines or jail time for some of these misdemeanors that we know are just really corporate laws. The way that the community court works is the person who commits a misdemeanor ends up having to do community service hours for whatever it is if they didn't have a sticker on their car and they have a license, whatever. I would like to take it a step farther. I'm with you in saying no victim, no crime, right? But is there a way that we can convince the current corporate state courts to let the community, the Jural Assembly, adjudicate some of these misdemeanors instead of them deciding whether the person should pay a fine or do community service?
Co-mingling jurisdictions.
Well, you're involved with the state of Hawaii system, right? As a board member, an elected position. Similar to Jen Ruggles, you're blowing the whistle about unlawfulness, being applied on the color of law as if it was lawful. That's exactly the right track to take. Once again, the state of Hawaii cannot prove lawful jurisdiction. So if we're not doing any harm, they absolutely have no right. I mean, even if they were a de jure government, which they're not, they're a federal corporation. But even if they were a de jure government, America, or the United States, still has no lawful authority in Hawaiian Kingdom. We still have to coexist. 125 years of occupation means that we use Federal Reserve notes. A lot of us have the food stamps, Social Security, all of these things that I think they use to scare us from applying the law, from being lawful in our own country because, then you're going to lose all of that. That's not fair and that's not right. We need a nation-to-nation settlement so that our people, Hawaiians of all colors, are not punished for being born into this corruption. So that we can say 5 to 7 years, we can transition out of that addiction system so that we're fully independent and sovereign in our food, in our shelter, healthcare, education, and all the different other aspects of our lawful nation. We can do this. We're developing points of trust with, you guys are with the government. You're with the government and you're here. Jen Ruggles is here. We're speaking frankly, honestly, about these very real problems that Hawaii has the culture and the ability to solve and untangle that heava.
Anyway, you mentioned a word there, well, community court. Same thing, but you folks are talking about what you're acting upon is that, can I hear? Who will be the agents of this? Will it be the Hawaiian Kingdom, or is it still under the federal or the U.S.?
Yeah, right.
That's a question. Yeah. So if you folks are property of the state of Hawaii, then automatically it doesn't work for us. It doesn't work. It's one with a kuwa or nothing.
They can't give you freedom, you have to take it. And defend it. No one can give you your freedom.
The intention of having a community court system, that's good, but, you know, at the basis.
Sounds good on the surface.
Yeah, it sounds good, but at the basis of that intention or that application is an unlawful state of Hawaii. So we always, you know, in all of our communications, we clarify, what is Hawaii's true political status? Who are we? Where are we? What is Keakua's law? You know, what is the truth about this situation? Now that we've clarified that, and all parties accept that, how do we untangle? So by us organizing ourselves, and with full transparency and ALOHA, do presentments to clarify the truth and the law, now they have something to work, we have something in the community to work with. And we're not coming out of the state of Hawaii. We're Hawaiian Kingdom.
When you say circle of sovereigns, how do you define sovereign?
Sovereign is, you have sovereign, well, some would argue rightly that the only true sovereign is Keakua himself.
How do you define sovereign?
I have two kinds of sovereign. I have me as sovereign amongst men, where that no other man or woman has power over me, that I would be able to exercise my unalienable right to live my life in complete freedom as long as I do no harm. If I do harm, if I lie, if I dishonor my agreements, I have trespassed, I have harmed. And so other than that, sovereign is in that. Like that's the way I see it. I don't have power over any man, but I have the right to live freely the way I choose, as long as I do no harm.
And how do you define whether or not harm is or is not done? People constantly have conflicts.
Right.
Have you a book to define what is appropriate conduct or what is not?
Okay.
Or are you now going to the Bible and turn to
Okay, well, this is a great question. Every individual has the unalienable right to make a claim. So if I feel that, you know, Melody, you're wearing a dark purple dress, and I've been traumatized with the color dark purple, and so, you know, I mean, as crazy as it is, I have a right to make a claim that dark purple, like, you know, if it's nearby me, my heart beats fast and I go crazy, no good. So don't do that. I want to pass a law so you have to wear a different color. Okay, I'm claiming harm, as crazy as that would be. Everyone has a right to make even crazy claims. If I'm serious, I don't just talk about it. I don't just make gossip and talk about you wearing this kind of colors. I actually get out a piece of paper and I write it down. And I say,
Okay, we went through all of that.
Yeah.
The claim is made.
Right.
On her side, she says, as a Filipino, this
That's my color.
it's an important color.
Yes.
So rather
It's a
than having,
wrong color. For Hawaiians, it's
it's a wrong color.
royal color.
yeah, it is. Yeah, well, maybe I was
Okay,
crazy.
so you can get into the argument.
Yes.
But when you have a set of instructions or rules such as what is appropriate color for Filipinos to paint their house,
Okay.
or whatever it is.
Right.
But you are saying, but I'm a sovereign, I don't agree with that. And I'm not, by the way, Filipino. So it offends me. And every time you have a conflict, you are now saying that you go through this process. Why through this process when there is already a process already established so that you don't step into somebody else's lane?
Right.
There's a definition of when we drive, we all agree we're going to drive either on the left side or on the right side of the road. And so you have certain established processes.
Yes.
Now if somebody all pissed off and he like drive on the other side of the road, you're going to allow him to make a claim and file against everybody else who's driving on the right side?
Well, if you wanna,
So what he's saying is, let's create new laws all over again, but this time we're not going to have it written down. All you need to do is file a complaint, and then we're going to have to call a group to call essentially what you're talking about a ho'oponopono session, but you're not calling it. You calling it God's law.
Oh, a Ho'oponopono session is great. I agree with you.
No, I know that. We already have that.
Okay.
And it's an informal way of resolving issues if there are serious issues. And there are very set rules of how you go about it, not by signing a form attesting to a complaint, but we have a system in which Kupuna will handle the complaint. They will work with the different
Right.
parties, see when they should get together and all that stuff.
Right.
What it sounds like is that you are saying we're going to recreate under the wide term God's law, all these new sets of rules,
No.
new sets of conduct, pulling from natural law,
Yes.
that comes from international law, and comes from early poets of America, written in a book, and I want to know who wrote this book, because you have already predefined what natural law is. What happens when a person comes in and says, you know, I happen to be a Buddhist, and my sense of appropriateness, starting from the very beginning of the world, follows from a different approach. Or I take from the Chinese Taoist philosophy.
That's fine.
Of Wu Qi. And so you have groups that may not see your so-called natural law or God's law in the same light. But you have already established this as a foundation of this particular community. What happens to others of different religious beliefs?
Okay.
Who may say, or no religious beliefs,
Yeah.
who may say, do I have a part in this society? What do you answer?
Okay, in Hawaiian Kingdom law, they make it very clear. I believe it's the 1840 Constitution that yes, Hawaiian Kingdom was founded on biblical principles, but no man is persecuted for not being Christian or for any religious practice he may or may not have.
Constitution.
Pardon me?
Where is it in the Constitution?
Yeah, that's definitely in the Constitution. I have
Articles 9 and 10.
Constitution 1840, yeah. And there's great wisdom there. It's basically saying, you follow your bliss, just do no harm. And I certainly agree with you that, you know, every, like even the silly example that I make about, you know, Melody's, the color of the clothes she's wearing. Yeah, you know, I actually like purple. I really do. So we don't want to make frivolous claims. But a man has a right to make what others may call a frivolous
claim.
claim.
The issue that I last raised, which is people of other religions.
That's fine. You are not persecuted for believing or having a different relationship with the Creator than the biblical principles that Hawaiian Kingdom was founded on. That's perfectly fine. You're not persecuted for that.
Can we go back to the establishment of the Hawaiian Kingdom? You say it was established in the written constitution, which is actually 1839, the Niuehu Constitution.
1839.
When he first put it out,
Yes.
and introduced it at Niuehu, and then it was formally adopted in 1840. But did not Kamehameha I create the kingdom through his unification? And was it not recognized in international law as a valid state in international law by the firing of the ship's cannons?
Okay.
When, what was that, Argentina came to Hawaiian waters. And they were saluted by Kamehameha's cannons. And they saluted back to Kamehameha and thus engaged in international affairs. Or when Captain Adams took Kamehameha's ship and traded in Japan and China and developed the Hawaiian flag and engaged in emblems of international transaction. So why do you start the kingdom only in 1839 or 1840 when Paea Kamehameha had already united the islands and was already gaining recognition by other countries as to Hawaii's engagement in international law?
Well, you bring up a very good point. I don't know the written laws, if maybe it's not even written. Not sure what Kamehameha had codified. We do.
Why do you need codified laws?
Well, okay, it wasn't written maybe. If it wasn't written, that's
the
fine.
Kanawai. the Kanabay Mamalahoa, which was an established principle.
I believe that's Pono law. Any law that we would apply in 2018 that trespasses on the unalienable rights of another is not a Pono law. Okay? In United States incorporate governance, it's majority rules. So that's what a democracy is, majority rules, right?
Donald Trump is not majority elected.
Well, it's a corporation, it's not even yet, but
What's
what,
a theory of majority rules, and let's not get caught up with that.
Well-
That's not relevant to this.
well, my point is, any law that a government, whether it's a corporation or actually a people's de jure government, any law that trespasses on the rights of its individuals, that's a red flag. And so the purpose of good governance is to protect the unalienable rights of all its people. Protecting the unalienable rights. Not, in this case, majority rules, and so 49% have to suffer the consequences that 51% voted, especially if it trespasses on their rights. So we have to be very careful about protecting each individual's unalienable right. That's natural. Okay.
And on that
Here.
article, well,
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, I found the article you guys were talking about in the Constitution.
1840.
1840, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, read it.
This article too, it says, all men of every religion shall be protected in worshiping Jehovah and serving him according to their own understanding, but no man shall be punished for neglect of God unless he injures his neighbor
Right.
or bring evil on the kingdom.
Right.
Okay. So does that therefore establish that the Hawaiian nation was a nation of Jehovah God, or that every man was subject to his own ideas of what the holy practice was?
Yeah, it sounds like based on this article that no one will be punished for worshiping any particular God.
Or you could even be atheists.
Yeah.
They're right.
If I may,
Of course.
to kind of cut through all of the confusion, everybody I'm sure here present tonight is familiar with the golden rule. So what is the definition of the golden rule? Do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. What would happen if we made that law? What would happen to our system of governance? Would we need to codify it? Would we need to,
Yeah.
write down well, you did harm to me. It's very quite simple.
Yeah.
And it's according to love.
Yeah.
If you love yourself, wouldn't you naturally love that other person as much as you love yourself? And you would not dare trespass against the sanctity of that sovereign individual.
Okay.
Do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Where does
It
that-
cuts through all of it.
Where does that come from, the Sermon on the Mount?
I'm not sure where it comes from.
Okay, but
All
it
I
comes
know,
from Christian theology. There's another theology. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them, because you are not them. Their expectation of how they are treated may be different from yours, so you cannot elevate your idea of how people should be treated and place it upon them. That's why we talk about cultural sensitivity.
well, there's the problem.
Well,
The
there's more
problem
than a
lies in the
problem.
comprehension of how an individual would understand that golden rule. That's why they don't have it as a law, because it would change everything for the better.
But you see, what you're trying to do is establish that Christian approach, and it is a very Christian approach.
I'm not sure if it's Christian or not. All I know as a youngster, I kept hearing the golden rule, the golden rule, the golden rule, the golden rule. Well, it makes great sense to me.
It does. but
And if
there
it
are
doesn't
other
make any
rules.
sense to someone else, I find that somewhat disturbing.
There are other rules that apply, especially in a multi-ethnic,
It doesn't get any simpler, Pokai. It doesn't get any simpler than to love somebody as much as you love yourself.
Okay, so listen to what I'm trying to explain. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. has also been considered to be a very golden rule. There's another rule. To treat others as equal. And there's no superiority of one man over the other. So when you talk about golden rules and you try to establish that as a foundation of the society, even that you need to look at yourself and see that you are taking from one particular theology, and in this particular case, it is a Christian theology. If you look at...
I don't think it's necessary to give that, a Christian label. Let's call it a universal, let's call it a universal principle. Leave, tags out. Just look at it on its face value. Do to me as I will do to you as I would want you to do to me. That means if I hurt you, then you have every right to hurt me back. But if I don't hurt you, you have no right to hurt me.
But what if you're
It's very simple.
What if you happen to be a sadist, like
Could you say that louder while you're reading?
what if that person happens to be a sadist? Well,
That's irrelevant.
God bless this person.
Did you have something, Ken?
I apologize, I misquoted earlier. It's actually Article 1
Okay.
of the 1940 Constitution.
1940, yeah.
1840, forgive me.
1840, yep, sorry.
Article 1, that no law shall be enacted which is at variance with the word of the Lord Jehovah, or at variance with the general spirit of his word. All laws of the island shall be in consistency with the general spirit of God's law. Article 2, that all men of every religion shall be protected in worshiping Jehovah and serving him, according to their own understanding. But no man shall ever be punished for neglect of God, unless he injures his neighbor of bringing evil on the king. So, although some may interpret it as being a Christian theology, and we can rightfully make that
Absolutely.
allegation, but I believe Jehovah was worshipped first by the Israelites, and therefore the term one Jew.
Right. It translates into
Judeo-Christian,
Right.
more commonly used.
Yes. Okay. I think that's great wisdom in 1840 that applies today. Once again, whatever your path is, and it evolves. People's lives, my life has changed greatly. My relationship with the source has changed. Whatever your path is, just do no harm to others, and you're protected in that right. Okay. Does that work?
It's a four-letter word, people. It's LOVE. How simple can it get?
No, that's not going to make the government.
I'm sorry?
It's not going to make the government. Because the government, it still exists with the Polynesians. It never went away. The laws are still here. You don't have to circumvent the law because it exists in the Tahitian culture. They took our laws. They applied the laws. So you don't make up the laws again because you're defeating the whole purpose. Right there. When you go back to the Tahitians, they took the same laws from the Hawaiians. They applied it to them. That's the kingdom law.
So you're basically saying restore.
Right, restored. That you just whatever they went through is exactly what we got to go through.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
We're in 2018, and
the kingdom law for the Tahitians.
There's really only one constitution, one law, and that was pronounced by Ia Kamehameha on his deathbed. Pono. When they asked him, "Oh my king, what do you need back for us?"
Yeah.
And he said, "E nai hale no oko, iku pono awale pau." My pono has not ended yet. That was the constitution of what Hawaii was. What you see after that, whether it's written or unwritten, is just amendments to that central law
Yes.
of pono.
Okay.
Now, you can throw any religion on it, you can throw whatever you want on it, but pono was a central law.
Right.
But as a society become more and more
And
complicated,
pono, I mean, and
you have
could you
different
clarify
management.
pono? Could you,
Pono is to do right.
Right.
there it is.
Yes.
To do right. Now, that does not mean that do unto others as they would have you do unto them, because you may like to give somebody else ice cream and cake, but you don't realize they're diabetic, and you may not be. So you gotta be very careful. Pono, do appropriate, do righteous.
Do
Now,
good.
all these constitutions that have moved have been an attempt to express pono given the circumstances that people were under. And so you had land laws, you had traffic laws, you had health laws, you have education laws. You cannot just wipe them all out because you have a different perspective that education should not be teaching me religion in school or sex education in school, and I will file a complaint. Then you will start creating all of these case laws to address every particular incident rather than establishing standardized rules by which everybody agree, yeah, we should have public education.
Yeah.
Kids should go to school as much as possible. And so you have established...
Because it's the pono
standardized
thing
laws.
to do.
Yeah.
You hope that it is pono.
Well, okay.
The giving of the lands in the Great Mahele. You hope there was pono, but was it? So you could have controversy all over.
Yes, you do, yes. A jural assembly has the right in its process to review a claim. And if the claim looks actually frivolous, if the claim is not based on facts that harm really was done, or it looks frivolous, the jural assembly could decide, well, you know, we're not going to convene on this. We have other things that we need to convene on. So, wisdom, common sense, good communication plays an important role on how we decide as a jural assembly, what are we going to adjudicate on? Because right even in this room, there's probably 5 or more different issues that people have that they might think the jural assembly should convene on this. I don't know. I think what faces all of us, since we are here, many of us, because of the imposition of United States law upon Hawaiian Kingdom, that ultimately is the controversy, if you will, that affects us all. And how does a natural law body, a jural assembly, adjudicate facts and evidence and then come up with a presentment regarding that particular issue of United States here in Hawaiian Kingdom.
Okay. Would pono be treat others the same way you would like to be treated? Do good? Do good to others as you would want them to do good to you?
Pono
Or
means
just
acting righteousness,
acting good, acting righteous?
doing the right thing.
Okay, that works. Works for me. I want to move towards the mechanics of maybe answer some questions about how the jural assembly, this circle of sovereigns, can work together to protect people who have been trespassed and harmed by the state or by anybody. But in this case, I think the state, it's a universal problem that we have in Hawaii, that state agencies are trespassing on our unalienable right to be lawful in our own country. So that would be, in my view, the most pressing case that we would, that I would advocate for us to adjudicate and then to do a presentment on and then to take action on to protect our people. That would be me. Yes, sir?
My question then is, you create a jural assembly, you make a decision on a particular conflict, like whether or not the state has jurisdiction over Ken.
Right.
Okay? And then you come to a conclusion.
Okay.
The underlying issue is enforcement.
Okay.
how are you going to enforce your conclusion when you have the cops coming over to Ken's place, if they can find it, and they say, okay, brother, to the calaboose.
Well, that's right. I mean, we don't have an army of police to go and
And
enforce.
if you don't have the enforcement, because that is where the issue is, we can all agree that these guys are crooks, they are liars, they are cheats, and they have no legitimacy.
Okay?
But the underlying question is, when either FBI or some other security agency or the cops come in, where is your enforcement? And if you have an answer to that, we'll talk to Mr. Brown, and Bumpy Kanahele, and all these guys who decided they're going try to protect these folks. And then they ended up in the calaboose themselves.
Right.
So, how are you going to enforce it?
Well, I don't believe we necessarily need an army of gun-packing marshals. I believe I can see that the truth is sovereign. I can see that as people unite and speak and act with integrity and honor in truthfulness, that the ball for justice and remedy actually moves forward. And my own personal experience is testament to that, in that I have held agents of the state, all the judges, all the police, all the politicians, accountable to the truth that Hawaiian Kingdom continues to exist, and I've done no harm. So Judge Lawbach, without any army to back me up, even Kelly, Officer Kino wasn't there, and he doesn't even go packing. But because I've been steadfast in Onipa'a, just to clarify the truth and the law, and I don't surrender that, even at threat of going into the box, and I have, but I keep coming back, because as God is my witness, He's asking me. God is saying, be Onipa'a. Continue to speak the truth, because it's the truth that convicts. It's the truth and people standing in honor in the truth that convicts. And so that's why Judge Lawbach said, okay, come January 21st, we're not going to have a hearing. We're going to have a status conference. I want to see, what are you talking about? I'm actually opening up the doorway so that you Hawaiian Kingdom people can present your case, and we're not here to enforce our law over you. We're here to have an open discussion about what is the truth and what is the law in Hawaii.
Did he actually say that he was going to subject his outcome of the case based on the status conference?
There is no case right now. The case has been thrown out. It's a status conference now.
Then what is the status conference?
My status conference is always, my position has always been, as well as many of us.
That's not what your position is. What is the state of the case right now? Is there a charge? Is there a case that is going forward? And if not, what is the status conference under? Is there a title to...
The status conference is, does the state of Hawaii have jurisdiction in Hawaii or not?
What is it? Who's suing who?
I'm not suing anybody. I'm just saying, you don't have lawful jurisdiction over me. I've done no harm.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like. If you're having a status conference,
Yes.
you have something before the court, and the court needs to determine what is the status of the case. How do we move forward if we're going forward?
Right.
No. So there has to be a case that is...
Well, the case that I invoke is, you don't have jurisdiction here.
You brought the case or the state brought the case?
The state says that I need to pay for insurance, for
So
registration,
you have
for
been charged by
license.
the state?
Yes, I am.
Okay, have they dismissed the case yet?
They've offered to dismiss.
So you still got a case, they haven't dismissed it yet?
But they've offered to dismiss it. I said, I'm not here to get it dismissed.
Also, every single time that you've appeared, you've given more presentments of your status.
Yeah, right,
Your status every
right.
time. So, is this dealing with all of the documentation that you brought in?
Well, it's, to me, I mean, yeah, it's my case where this status conference is occurring, but the implications for the Lahui are quite self-evident. Because the only position I've ever taken in the last 3 years is, you guys gotta prove jurisdiction. I've done no harm, or present a man or woman that says I've done harm because I didn't get your registration or your license. Is there any man or woman that is accusing me of doing harm? Nobody shows up. Nobody says, yeah, Thomas, sure, you harmed me because you didn't get insurance.
You actually went to trial?
They've offered trial.
Should have took it.
The latest time, I saw her last week. It was a bench trial. I saw her last week.
Yeah,
And it didn't turn out to be a trial because the prosecutors, all three deputy prosecutors didn't even speak. So there was no accusation of anything. I just said, I'm just here as a sovereign Hawaiian.
Did they charge you? Didn't they say that you are hereby charged with violating section so-and-so or certain code?
They always do that.
Okay, so they did. So you are being charged. Now you say, I'm not guilty, you have no jurisdiction, how can you assert jurisdiction over me, etc., etc.,
Correct.
etc. But there is a conflict or controversy now before the court. And so by raising these issues, the judge is saying, okay, let's have a status conference.
Okay.
Let's talk about what is the status of the case. Now you go in and you say, well, we had a jural conference and we came out with a conclusion that I should not be guilty, and this is how I'm going to enforce it by taking it to the court and telling the court you got to obey the outcome of this conference. Is that your enforcement mechanism?
I actually am not. I'm not concerned about enforcement.
But my question is, how do you enforce the decisions that you folks make?
I'm not concerned about enforcing it with force.
How about proving no jurisdiction?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Proving no jurisdiction. Would that be a defense?
Well,
They
you
need
can
to
try,
prove
yeah.
jurisdiction, like Poca, like you so rightly reminded me last night. Okay, they need. If they say they have jurisdiction, what is the course of events that has occurred? Because one day us Hawaiians lawful in our own country, and the next day we not. The next day we're under your law and jurisdiction. What is the process that all of a sudden now you have jurisdiction over us?
I can tell you what Judge Harada presided over when they called the expert witness from the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Her name was Ms. Kane, and the issue was who owns Makua.
Okay.
And that was over the case where we had our defendants arrested, went to court, and I challenged jurisdiction.
Okay.
Not only challenged jurisdiction, but I also challenged the title.
Right.
Okay. And so their evidence was, according to Ms. Kane, that the title of the state of Hawaii comes from the federal government. My question is, and where did the federal government get title over Makua from? And her response was the federal government got title from the Republic of Hawaii in the cession of Hawaii and the land transaction, the cession in which the Republic of Hawaii gave to the United States all the lands, all of the waters, and all of the human beings, all of the citizens, including your citizens. The whole
You
Canada.
steal something and a point of a gun and one bargain.
Wait a minute, let me just tell a story. My next question is, and where did the Republic of Hawaii get its title?
Yes.
And her response is, it is a policy of our department that we don't look behind that question.
Okay.
I take as a political conclusion that the Republic of Hawaii had jurisdiction and they gave to the United States and therefore it traveled down. So I raise an objection, Your Honor, for any other land title, every person has to go back to the Mahere from the original giving and then trace the title all the way down. And yet, the department is saying that they don't need to go behind the
prior to the Republic.
Yeah. And so Judge Harada says, well, that's a policy of the court. So I find in favor, or I overrule your objection.
Well, have us
Yeah. But what they do, I'm saying, is that you come out with all of your facts and all that stuff. They come in with the final decision that all of these 6 people who got arrested at Lawful are guilty of trespass.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I know the cheats, the crooks. As far as I'm concerned, and what I told the judges, you can send them to whatever they like. We ain't gonna obey that. We're just gonna ignore it. And the judge says, well, you can do whatever you want, but I sentence them to 6 months prohibited from going back to Makua. And I said, anything right. Okay, so you have an argument, but how am I gonna stop the enforcement if one of my people go down? I'm gonna get gunned? I'm going beef with the DLNR folks? No. No enforcement mechanism when you really come down to it. I can appeal, and I did appeal to the Hawaii Supreme Court. And then they threatened to take my license with my appeal. But that's secondary. But the point is, we can stand on this justified basis that we know what is right.
Yes, we do.
But you still come to the question I'm asking. How are we going to enforce?
That's a very powerful point. How do you enforce?
I think we all understand that, we don't have very big.
Just a minute, I'm trying to listen to you.
I think we all understand we don't have very big teeth, compared to like the nuclear subs of the U.S. military. But I look at people like Gene and Oka and Ken. Some of these people have challenged the jurisdiction, and it seems like it's been in silos. It's one person just trying to defend themselves against this whole court system.
You mean Goliath?
And what I was wondering is, if we do create a jural assembly, we can be more proactive about educating the judges and the enforcement officers. Like one of the things that Keanu Sai did when he established that perfect title thing was he actually set up a meeting with the chief of police and some of the deputies and instructed them regarding jurisdiction. I know, I'm just saying what he did, to try and be proactive about it. I'm not saying I endorse everything that Keanu does. I'm just saying being proactive instead of reactive might be a better way to
Well,
remedy this.
we have created a Hawaiian Kingdom radio station that's began a year ago, and then it shut down, and then it began again, and then they threw me in the box. It's FCC free, and we're gonna fire it up again next month. It's just a low power FM, but we have a right to broadcast and communicate with our people. So an FCC free Hawaiian Kingdom radio station. We talked about a newsletter.
Wait, can you stop? Can you slow down?
Yeah.
What do you mean FCC free?
FCC free, meaning the
You don't respect
federal
FCC's
authority here?
jurisdiction? Or FCC has not asserted or cannot
Well,
assert
it's because they're under
jurisdiction?
federal community.
Yeah, it's a federal, it's
No,
a,
that's the United States.
I'm sorry, I cannot understand what you're saying.
No,
What are you saying?
FCC is of the United States.
Yeah, I know what the FCC is.
Yeah.
Are you saying that they are not asserting jurisdiction, or you?
No, they haven't picked up the phone and called me, no.
Well, they haven't caught you yet.
Well,
Many of us, I don't pay
but you
taxes.
say he has a low
That doesn't
powered
mean that they're
station.
not going to make the claim.
Well, they might come, yeah, they might come forward.
Okay, but so be clear about FCC free.
well, do they own the airwaves around the world?
They claim that they own the airwaves here in Hawaii.
That's right.
Yeah, so when you say FCC free,
Yes.
you're operating under the radar. That's one way of saying FCC free.
Yeah.
If you operate through internet, you can get away from FCC.
Okay.
But
No, we're
let's
FM.
say I'm broadcasting on AM or FM frequencies and I'm FCC free. That's not being honest to the people's understanding here.
Why is that not honest? I'm not sure what you.
Because FCC is, and they will assert jurisdiction. If they can catch you, it's just that you have to be caught. In fact, they shut down the radio station for a period of time.
Yeah, but if the US has no jurisdiction here, neither do they.
That's correct.
You're right, but you guys.
He knows that, he knows that.
You're right, but you also get evidence to back up what you're saying. That's really critical. Because that's what it is. If you guys get the knowledge, it's gonna come out. Because even right now, there's so much things that's coming out now,
Right.
that we can slam anybody. That's why we gotta work together as
Yes.
a group. And then whatever knowledge we get, we can share with you folks. The time is now,
That time is now.
and that's it.
Yes.
Well, when you talk about under the radar, that's a simple reason why us is Kanaka Maoris. That's why we all acting under the radar. Woke up, you know that. I know that. We're all working under the radar. You know what? Hopefully we don't get caught. But does that call us a liar? No, we're fighting for our life. We're fighting for our life.
And freedom.
We're so freedom.
I made a comment.
We have to understand why we're under that. Because for me, when I look at them carrying the weapons, that's a weapon of mass destruction. For us, we're doing these things to save our families, our life, our family, our land, and everything. We're doing something that's very properly is under the law of God. But for them, we got to look at it and say, we're being hurt about it. So we're under the radar all the time. Even when we're sleeping, we're under the radar.
Not all the time, sometimes. Let me give you an example.
You see that gray line you just draw? Sometimes.
I'll give you an example why we're not under the radar all the time. I got elected Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Right.
Yeah. And I gotta get sworn in. So I stand up and pledge allegiance and confirm that I will abide by the Constitution of the United States. I said, forget it, I sit down in that ceremony. So when everybody else stand up, I sat down to reflect that I am not supporting the United States, the U.S. Constitution. I made it very public.
Yeah.
And as a result, the papers picked it up and said, you know, this guy is sort of un-American somewhat. I served 4 years the term that I was elected for. So sometimes they say it's not behind the radar. I choose a different way of expressing it. The quest is not to walk the straight path, but to learn to walk the crooked path straight. To be pono in yourself, no matter what you enter into. So I can still carry my law license and I can go in and practice law in their courts. But am I true to myself? And that to me is really the test. So I don't need to duck all the time. I think it's coming. Anyway, just a different point of view.
Uncle, we agree that Kellen and I totally agree that whistleblowers inside the system are very important. That we come up above the radar and declare not just truth, but truth with love.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. Because without the love, the truth can actually be damaging. That's what blackmail is. Right? You use truth as a weapon. The question though that Uncle Puka asked, he had presented to me many, many years ago. And over those many, many years, the answer that I received, forgive me, Uncle, for not sharing with you earlier, is this is the same predicament that Kamikyo, King Kamehameha III, during his reign, encountered on a daily basis. Although he was mo'i over these islands, and a huge responsibility was on his shoulders, he realized, before the Great Mahele, that any world power stronger than him, there were a multitude stronger than Hawaii at any time, and they were already eyeing him. They would come and threaten and coerce him and do unjust things to different islands. He knew at any point in time, any one of them could fight with him, and he would stand a chance. He would just, the people were not prepared to defend against that kind of force. So he turned to Kyoko. He was raised on stories like David and Goliath. He knew that even though he was a small and feeble nation, that as long as he served the all-powerful God, and the all-loving God, that he would be defending him. And that as long as the people will honor and worship this true God, there will be no reason for God to punish us and hand us over to our enemies. Just in the same way that little itty Israel, in the middle of all those giants around them, were always protected and blessed So he developed the Great Mahele after the pattern of what Moses gave to the Israelites on how to perpetually preserve the land amongst their descendants forever, just like Samoa has, just like Tonga has. People would never, ever lose the land permanently. But it would just be, maybe lost for that person's lifetime, but it would always be within their descendants.
So this is a spiritual war,
Correct.
ultimately, and I'm grateful to be in a circle of people that have Pono in their hearts, and then apply Pono, apply the truth with love. And that's a very, very powerful thing, because the world is so upside down, operating in color of law, using force, deception, fraud. Right. And so my priorities are straight. I'm not perfect, but my priorities are straight in that I'm going to do my very best to be truthful with love. And that's my enforcement. Now, I see the ball moving forward because I think a lot of us have made that commitment. And that's why we gather. That we see, yeah, we're outnumbered and we don't have all the guns and the submarines and all that.
The truth can never be denied.
Truth is sovereign, sir. Absolutely. And so,
everlasting.
when we share this information on YouTube or on our FCC free radio, in all our controversy too, because this is for real, right? We have thoughts and questions and disagreements. Nothing to hide. Because ultimately, we have Pono in our hearts. So we're good. We're good.
I am compelled to share a saying that I came across a number of years ago that I think will resonate with us all here. And when I came across it, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like getting a bucket of ice water thrown into my face. It was an aha moment. And the saying was this: we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that for me, the lights and the bells, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And while we're here, we know what is true to ourselves in our hearts and in our minds. It's all about doing good. And it resonates in me when I've heard, when I was a child, love one another as I have loved you. It doesn't get any simpler than that.
Thank you. Greg?
So in the last 15 minutes, let's make a plan. Let's do something.
Thank you.
An action plan.
Thank you. Very good. We're here to create a circle of sovereigns, a jural assembly. If you're interested in participating, would you raise your hand? If you're interested in participating. Okay. No? Okay.
Too many questions.
Okay, that's fine. For those of you that are interested, thank you, Greg, for bringing that up. We do have to take action. For those of you that are interested, we can fill out, you can get an ID if you want an ID. You don't need to get the ID, but it helps to pledge, get your ID, and then we're in this Lahui circle. If the state or the federal government or anybody trespasses on your rights, you pick up the phone, you call me, you call Kelly, you call Leon Seal, call each other, and we'll be there as much as I can from Big Island. We will help you write presentments to clarify your status, to defend your right to be lawful in your own country. Okay? And do it with ALOHA. So if you're interested, who wants to fill out that form? Yes, sir.
People know that you'll be praying for them as well.
Praying is, yes, all day, every day. Of course. All right.
Don't pray for me.
Don't pray for you?
Don't pray for me.
Okay. Okay.
And people,
No problem.
They get different church, they come over there and they ask you, they can pray for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, no, don't pray for me, I'm okay.
I respect that.
They asked me, do you know what God's plan is for you? I said, the hell if I ain't care. Because all you're going to tell me is your idea of what God is planning for me. Leave me alone.
Okay.
Okay. I can say my own prayer.
Just say, yeah, I know what
respect
his plan is for me. That's it. I know.
Okay, this is a declaration of, you guys have pens. This is a short form, but it gets to the point. It's a declaration of truth as a sovereign Hawaiian national, like I read earlier. From the beginning, as Yahweh God is my witness, you put your first name of the family, you put your last name. Embrace all gifts given by God. Repent all transgressions against God, and waive all false claims that are without God the truth. Now this second part is very important because they operate with these corporate fictions, yeah? I am the true and living Kanaka. I am the guardian and beneficiary of my own body, mind, and spirit soul. I openly and respectfully reject all false claims, contracts, and presumptions. So we're protecting our unalienable right to be ourselves. There you go, sir. Yes, please.
Hello. I just want to share my Manao folks.
Yes, go ahead.
About a year ago, I had this dream, and the dream was true because what happened to me was that Remy Kamaka, when I was with Remy Kamaka, and a lot of people know Remy Kamaka, he's been in the movement, but I had a call from my wife, and I was home in Laie at the time, and the wife said that he had passed away. So I told him, well, you know what, where are you guys at? He said, we're at the morgue. I said, you know what, I'm going to run down and see you guys. When I came back, nobody was at the morgue. So I went and inquired, where's the family? They said, oh, they went back to the hospital. I said, what happened? And then the wife goes, you know what, the funny thing about it, he passed away. They brought him to the morgue. We signed all the certificates. We signed all the certificates that we were dead. But he came back alive. Now, I was a witness to that, our family. And when I looked at him, I said, brother, you know that you had caused a lot of things right here. I am a witness to you that in the scriptures, it tells about resurrection. When you're resurrected, there's nothing on you. You're born brand new. So everything that I've done before is all null and void. You owe nobody anything here because you've been resurrected. That's my understanding that I had. So I told myself, because tonight I heard Brother Dean here talk about straw man. Okay, we all heard that word, straw man. We've been in many courts, and we always hear the word straw man. It's like they're telling us you're dead, don't speak, we're gonna do the talking, shut your mouth, okay? So, when I was in a court, I told myself, wow, they're considering us as dead people. We don't exist. So when I saw that happen to Kamaka, I said, thank you, Lord. Because obviously, if they claim that we're dead, and we resurrect tonight, and we do something to do this, guess what? When we resurrect this new thing that we're going to process, like Coco was talking, the process, this process only can happen with Kiapua. And because on this special certificate that we're going to process, it's going to show that we've been resurrected. And you can't do nothing because you have no jurisdiction on our resurrection. And for me, I've been sitting in many churches who claim resurrection after you die, and I tell myself, gotta be alive. Resurrection can come to us anytime because this is the speciality that I look at our people, the Kanaka Maoris, people of this land, we've been resurrected. So I tell you what, we have a new life. We're gonna come to it. We're gonna redeem to it, and we're gonna let the state of Hawaii, the federal of the United States, and all that. And I was wondering tonight, as I hear this young lady address me, and if anybody would hear me, that she said that we are native Hawaiians. We are not native Hawaiians. That's a corporate word. And I'm offended by that. I'm very offended by that. Because I grew up, I had the name Denver, Kealahele, Kapotawao. And I was always called Kanakamaole or Kanakamaole. But never been incorporated as a native Hawaiian. But that's all I want to share with you folks. The word resurrection is going to be glorified to us, whatever and however we use it to go through the process. That was my dream, and it came true because I was right there with Brother Ray Kamaka, who had passed on and came back to life. Then he died a couple days later. But anyway, thank you, Akua. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Keala, if I may, you indicated that you were offended that I use the term Native Hawaiian. I just wanted to let you know that I do respect the term Kanaka Maole, and that is the proper and correct term. However, it is common by federal recognition that they use the term Native Hawaiian. And so big N, small n, no n, that is the way it is commonly referred to. But you are 100% correct. It is Kanaka Maole. But we need to educate the rest of the community so that they realize that that is the proper terminology.
Wow. Thank you.
Do you know the story about Raymond and how he came back from America as a wrestler? And the father who was supposed to be dead, you want to share that story and what happened to him? Because they tried to move his body, he was in the hospital. And he had a vision that the father was calling him, you gotta come back. And so finally he came back, the father already monkey. But they couldn't move the body. They get all these people in the hospital trying to apply him and take him out, no can move. And so Raymond says, oh, I know, he's waiting to see me. And so after Raymond went inside and talked to the dad about the property, you know, that pilikia that they had, and then they were able to move it. Yeah, but that's the way it works. Yeah. Like I represent.
It's not a spiritual thing. It's very meaningful because our culture, same like the American Indians and all that, the First Nation people, we have these gifts that's given to us. And I know Poka experienced that. All of us in here, in fact, each and every one of us have a story to share
about the supernatural.
That things come to us and we see somebody or something. All of us have that experience. Thank you, Poka. I heard that from Ray.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, my old man had to wait till come home and then talk to him and then settle his whole problem because there's so much kakakao with the family. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have a final comment? Because we'd like to do a closing prayer. For those of you that are, if you filled out your form, I'll take it with, and I will make a follow-up phone call so that we, talk story over the phone, answer any questions you might have. I am so excited and grateful that we had such a successful gathering tonight. The people on Big Island have been texting me for the last 3 days, sending their prayers, for what we're doing right now here. And so there is one body. It's two sovereign circles. It's two circles of sovereigns, but it's really one body under Yaakov. So thank you so very much, everybody.
We thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. So shall we circle up and have a prayer? All right. Hey, Kelly.
Yeah.
Can't come in the sun. And, would you like to lead us in prayer?
No, actually, I would really prefer to honor Allah with the closing prayer.
Oh,
First of all, we're going to sing one song. Kanaka Bye Bye. Ake Allah, okay? Ake Allah hele o Yesu. Ihala mai akuai. Me kanaka o pio hano hano. Kaulana e ka vai vai. Pane mai e ka o miro. E kuha kuhai kai. E aho i ka ue ana kuai. Liloa e ke o la mau. He ave lilo I ko mau vai vai. Uli hai mai au. Liloa e o la mau. Uli kako. O Lord our Savior, in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, we join our hands tonight to be one with you, Lord. But most of all, we are so grateful and thankful that you continue to give us the breath of life every day. And we ask for your blessing to take us all home to our destinations in safety, that no harm will actually fall upon us, but also bless all our kikis, our kukunas. Bless all of us that we can go out to the world, especially to our people, our Kanaka Maoris over here, who have trials and tribulations. We can go to them, Lord, with your spirit, to share with them our manao, to let them understand, to have a relationship with you. So we can bring this matter and this process to one in your name. Hallelujah, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.